had started with this so we're hooking back. So we're continuing Mothership. We had left off with safety instructions. 16.1, how to be a great player. Mothership can be a very challenging game. You should expect characters to die. Play smart. Make the most of your time. Violence to be punishing. If you're fighting, you're losing. Violence is deadly and should be avoided at all costs. The odds to be stacked against you. Rolls are punishing in Mothership. Find ways to stack the odds in your favor. To make difficult choices. Surviving the ordeal, solving the mystery, or saving the day are often mutually exclusive. To pay attention. Stay focused and plug into the fictional world. It helps you and everyone else get into the spirit of the game and have a more immersive experience. A safe play environment. This is a horror game, and it can deal with many uncomfortable topics. It's your responsibility to make sure you're not making anyone at the table uncomfortable with your words and actions, both in and out of character, and to speak up if you're uncomfortable or notice anyone else might be uncomfortable. Mothership is a tabletop role-playing game. You and your friends get together. And one of you, the warden, prepares a scenario for the rest of you to explore and interact with. You ask questions, roll some dice, make some jokes, and die a few times. The rules are simple, but the game is challenging. You can attempt to do anything you want, and are not limited by what is on your character sheet. Most things you want to just happen. You should ask a lot of questions. The more information you have, the less likely you'll have to make risky rolls like stat checks and saves. Stat checks are made when you want to do something and the price for failure is high. Saves are reactions. Rolled to avoid different mental, emotional, or physical damages. When you fail a stat check or save, your character gains 1 or more stress. Stress can be bad as it makes characters more likely to panic, but is also needed to improve saves. Panic checks are rolled when the worst has happened and your character snaps. A bad result can lead to a long-term condition that needs treatment, but a good result can provide focus when it is needed the most. When characters get hurt, they lose health. If they lose enough health, they suffer a wound. If they gain wounds equal to their maximum, they die. Player supplies checklist. The player survival guide, your character sheet, 1d20, the panic dice, 2d10, percentile dice, some tokens, pen and paper, snacks, bring some to share. With these basics in mind, you're ready to handle 90% of the situations that come up in the game. For everything else, other players will discuss the situation and come up with a house rule to suit the table's specific needs. That being said, you can close this book and start playing right now. There's even a handy cheat sheet on the back cover if you forgot something. If you'd like a little more information about how it all works, read on. 17.1 Dice Notation. There are 3 ways we notate dice. 1d100 means to roll a pair of 10-sided dice, where one die represents the tens and the other represents the ones. For example, if you roll a 90 and a 9, that equals 99. If you roll a 0, 0, and a 0, that equals 0. 10 means to roll a number of 10-sided dice and add them together. We use a 20-sided die called the panic die. You use this only to make panic checks. If you see a plus next to a roll, it means the roll has advantage, while a minus means the roll has disadvantage. .1 Stat Checks. Whenever you want to do something and the roll a 1d100 and attempt to roll lower than your most relevant stat, this is called a stat check. If you roll less than your stat, you succeed. Otherwise, you fail. Of 90 to 99 is always a failure. Your stats. You have 4 main stats which represent your abilities when acting under extreme pressure. Strength, speed, intellect, and combat. 18.2 Saves. In order to avoid certain dangers or trauma, you sometimes need to roll 1d100 lower than your most relevant save. This is called a save. If you roll less than your save, you succeed. Otherwise, you fail and gain 1 stress. A roll of 90 to 99 is always a failure. Your saves. You have 3 saves which represent your ability to withstand different kinds of trauma. Sanity. Rationalize logical inconsistencies in the universe. Make sense out of the chaos. Detect illusions and mimicry. Cope with stress. Fear. Maintain a level head while struggling with fear, loneliness, depression, and other emotional surges. Body. Employ quick reflexes and resist hunger, disease, or organisms that might try and invade you. 18.3 What is your high score? High score is a record of the number of sessions your character has survived. It doesn't affect gameplay, it's just a fun number to track. Your warden may have other ideas on how to use it in-game, like as a reputation or as a spendable commodity. Don't stress about your high score too much. The average high score of a character is about 4. Just focus on staying alive, and perhaps you'll beat that. Modifying stat checks and saves. There are three things that can modify the outcome of a stat check or save: advantage and disadvantage, critical successes or failures, and skills. Advantage and disadvantage. Whenever you are making a roll of any kind, and the character has a situational advantage like assistance from someone else, roll twice and take the best result. When at a situational disadvantage, like poor weather or bad visibility, roll twice and take the worst result. Advantage is noted with plus, disadvantage with minus. If a character has both advantage and disadvantage, they cancel each other out. Critical successes and failures. Whenever you roll doubles on a stat check or save, you have rolled a critical. If the roll is a success, it is now a critical success and something very good happens. If it is a failure, it is now a critical failure and something bad happens. And furthermore, you must make a panic check. A roll of 00 is always a critical success, and a roll of 99 is always a critical failure. Skills. If a character has a skill that is relevant to the task at hand, you can add the skills bonus to the stat or save before making your roll. Calling for a check. Yeah, that's just an example. Stress. The unknown horrors of the cosmos and the vast emptiness of space takes a toll on a person. Stress is a measure of that toll and how it subtly affects you, bringing you closer to the brink of panic. While stress by itself doesn't do anything, the higher your stress is, the more likely you are to panic. And the more stress you have when you panic, the worse your panic is likely to be. 20.1. How do I gain stress? You gain 1 stress every time you fail a stat check or save. Occasionally, certain locations or entities can automatically give you stress from interacting with or witnessing them. Your minimum stress starts at 2, and based on events that happen in game, such as certain panic check results, it can be increased or decreased. The maximum stress you can have is 20. Any stress you take over 20 instead reduces the most relevant stat or save by that amount. 20.2. How do I relieve stress? You can relieve stress by resting a relatively safe place. To do this, make a rest save using your worst save. If you succeed, reduce your stress by the ones digit rolled. You rolled a 24, under your worst save of 30, reduce your stress by 4. If you fail, you gain 1 stress instead. Players can gain advantage on the rest save by participating in consensual sex, recreational drug use, a night of heavy drinking, prayer, or any other suitable leisure activity. Unsafe locations may incur disadvantage on rest saves at the warden's discretion. Stress is typically not relieved during cryosleep. Finally, if you have more time, you can take shore leave and convert your stress into improved saves. And then just a reminder to check where your player's boundaries are before just shoehorning in any sexual content in your game. And it's just another example there. Stress, damage, and emotional wear eventually bring characters to their breaking point. When that happens, there's a chance they panic. You determine this by making a panic check. .1 What is a panic check? A panic check determines whether the character can keep their cool under pressure. To make a panic check, roll the panic die and attempt to roll greater than your current stress. If you roll less or equal to your current stress, you fail, and you look up your result on the panic table. 21.2 When to make panic checks. You must make a panic check anytime you roll a critical failure on a stat check or save. Additionally, the warden may call for a panic check at any other appropriate time, including but not limited to watching another crew member die, witnessing more than one crew member panic, whenever your ship rolls a critical failure, everyone on board makes a panic check, encountering a strange and horrifying entity for the first time, when all hope is lost and death feels certain, whenever you, the player, feel is relevant. 21.3 Conditions. Some results of the panic table are so severe that they leave a lasting impression on you. These are called conditions, and they affect you until you are able to treat them. Panic checks and agency. Be sure to go over the panic table and remove any results that don't fit with your group. Remember, role-playing panic is not an excuse to make someone else uncomfortable. As usual, check in. I think I forgot my dice today, so we'll just read a couple at random from the table. 2, nervous, gain 1 stress. 9, deflated, gain a new condition. Whenever a close crew member fails a save, gain 1 stress. Doomed, gain a new condition. You feel cursed and unlucky. All critical successes are instead critical failures. 13, death wish. For the next 24 hours, whenever encountering a stranger or known enemy, make a sanity save or immediately attack them. 17, spiraling. Gain a new condition. Panic checks are at disadvantage. 20, retire. Roll up a new character. Skills. Skills represent the accumulated knowledge, craft, techniques, and training a character possesses in a certain field. Whenever you make a stat check or save, and you have a relevant skill, you add your skill bonus to your stat or save, giving you a higher number to roll under. Each class starts with a few skills, and characters can acquire more through long-term study or rigorous training. 22.1 No skill. Just because you don't have a skill doesn't mean you don't know anything. and it usually doesn't mean that you can't at least make an attempt. What it means is that you don't have significant enough experience or expertise in the matter to act decisively in high-pressure situations. Therefore, you get no bonus, and depending on how complex the task is, you might roll with disadvantage or not be able to attempt it at all. 22.2 Train skills plus 10. You've received standard training in this area, equivalent to a bachelor's degree or on-the-job training for a couple of years. We'll just read a couple of these. Archaeology, ancient cultures and artifacts, computers, fluent use of computers and their networks, industrial equipment, the safe and proper use of heavy machinery and tools, linguistics, the study of languages live, dead, and undiscovered, rimwise, practical knowledge and know-how regarding outer rim colonies, their customs, and the seedier parts of the galaxy. .1 Expert skills. You've received the equivalent of a doctorate or have many years should generally be a subset or specific focus of a trained skill. Asteroid mining. Training in the tools and procedures used for mining asteroids. Mysticism. Spiritual apprehension or hidden knowledge. Piloting, operation, and control of aircraft, spacecraft, or other vehicles. Wilderness survival. Applicable know-how regarding the basic necessities of life, food, water, shelter, in a natural environment. 23.2 Master skills plus 20. You are advanced in your field and are aware of cutting-edge techniques or highly specialized and niche information. Due to their focus, master skills apply very narrowly compared to the broader trained skills. Artificial intelligence, the study of intelligence as demonstrated by machines. Command, leadership, management, and authority. Exobiology, the study of and search for intelligent alien life. Robotics, design, maintenance, and operation of robots, drones, and androids. Sophontology, the study of the behavior and mind of non-human entities. Xenoesotericism, obscure beliefs, mysticism, and religion regarding non-human entities. Skill training. 24.1 Train a skill. To learn a new skill, you need to spend the requisite amount of time and credits. Trained skills. 2 years plus 10K in material. Expert skills. 4 years plus 50K in material. Master skills. 6 years, 200K in material. To train an expert skill requires 1 trained prerequisite, and to train a master skill requires 1 expert prerequisite. Why does it take so long? Skill training assumes characters are working full-time, going on missions, and generally living life. If studying full-time, training takes half as long. Your warden may allow additional resources, private tutoring, AI assistants, cybermod, slickware, etc. to decrease the time required. (25.1) Military training. Military training is a special exception to the regular rules of skill training for two reasons. First, it is free. Second, characters must sign a 6-year contract with the local Colonial Marine Regiment to find out what happened during their service, make a combat check. Success. Gain military training, athletics, and 2 trained skills. Gain plus 10 combat and reduce another stat by 10. Gain the Marine's trauma response. Critical successes. As success, but you may take an expert skill instead of 2 trained skills. Failure. Gain military training, athletics, and 1 trained skill, and the Marine's trauma response. Critical failure. You were killed in action. Violent encounters. Violence in Mothership is incredibly dangerous and should be avoided at all costs. When all else fails, this is how to resolve the encounter. 26.1 Turn order. During a violent confrontation, time is split into roughly 10-second intervals called rounds. Everything within a round happens at basically the exact same time. The warden describes the situation and what is likely to happen if there is no response. Play then goes around the table and each player describes how their characters react. As usual, feel free to ask questions and the warden answers and explains the likely consequences of failure. Once you understand the stakes and what you want to do, you commit to a course of action, either individually or as a group. Once everyone has done this, the warden resolves everyone's action at once, assigning any necessary stat checks or saves. Then everyone who has to rolls. After any stat checks and saves are rolled, if anyone is taking damage or a wound, those are rolled. Finally, the warden describes the new situation and the new round starts. This repeats until the encounter is resolved. 26.2 If there is a chance that characters are ambushed or stunned by a horrific encounter, the warden calls for a fear save. Those who succeed are able to react. Those who fail are too shocked to react until the next round. Strict turn order. Some groups prefer a very strict turn order. If this is the case for your group, we recommend everyone make a speed check at the start of the encounter. Those who succeed go before the enemy hostiles, and those who fail go after. If the situation changes dramatically, speed checks can be called for again. I normally don't read the examples because I just don't think it's, very useful or informative. They mostly, just rehash the information, and while personally that might be useful, I don't think in the context of going through this, I haven't found them quite helpful. I just mostly feel like they've been a waste of time, but I'll go ahead and read through this one since it looks like there's quite a bit of flavor to it. Also, it seems to be describing the situation we see on the left. Example, the thing that was Phil. Warden. Okay, so the thing that used to be Phil is galloping down the corridor. His mouth is unzipping down his chest into one giant maw. Cleo, it's reaching out to grab you and Knox. Unimpeded, it's going to crash right into you. What are you doing? Cleo, I'm going to stand my ground and unload on this guy. Sorry, Phil. Phil, it was my fault. I shouldn't have opened that door. Warden. Cleo, make a combat check. There's a lot of pipes here, so you might take some blowback damage if you fail. Cleo, that's fine. I hate this shit anyway. I can add my military training. Warden, definitely. Phil, I think it's safe to say you can roll up another character to play. One of the Marines you hired at the last port. Phil, oh yeah, I'll play Corporal Davis. I liked her. Warden, perfect. She's still on the bridge. If she heads this way, she can be here next round. Knox, what about you? Knox, I'm going to just try and get some cover. I want to get out of the being formerly known as Phil's way. Warden, X-Phil is running pretty fast, so that'll be a speed check. Failure means it'll be able to get to you. Does this sound good to everyone? Knox, my body is ready. Warden, okay, let's roll. They all three of them fail. Warden. Cleo fires, but the creature's moving too fast. You hit the pipes, and then they spray steam into your eyes for 4 damage. The field thing snatches you up. Its claws just tear through. You take 14 damage. That's a wound for sure. Warden, Corporal Davis, you arrive, and you're seeing this carnage. Your former character is about to devour Knox alive. What's everyone doing? And Knox, let's roll up that wound. 27.1. What can I do? Characters can generally move somewhere within close range, and then do one thing before the situation changes. Think of the situation like a real-life scenario. Think about what you would do in those circumstances, then describe that to the warden. You can't accomplish everything you want to do in one round. Your choices are especially foolhardy or dangerous. The warden will do their best to let you know and explain the risks involved. Here's a non-exhaustive list of the kinds of things you could attempt in a round. Attack, bandage a wound, check vital signs, move again, fire a vehicle's weapon, maneuver or pilot a vehicle, open an airlock, operate a machine, reload a weapon, throw something at or to someone, use a terminal. Additionally, if you decide to do nothing other than run, you can move somewhere within long range during the round. Being effective in a fight. Your combat stat isn't the only thing that matters when it comes to fighting for your life. Distract enemies while your fellow crew members take aim. Study the creature's movement to see if you can spot a pattern or weakness. Bandage bleeding wounds. Run away. Hide. In short, treat every round like a completely unique situation, and try not to look at your character sheet too much. Outsmart, outrun, and outlast your enemy. That's what really matters. So I think we'll try. Well, these 2 pages for sure, and maybe the next 2. Even though it looks like I'm going to be skipping quite a lot of the back pages, I don't think we really have enough time to try and cover them. 28.1. How do I attack? Make a combat check. If successful, roll the weapon's damage and subtract it from the enemy's health. If you fail, the situation gets worse and you gain 1 stress. 28.2. When taking damage subtracted from health, if your health reaches 0, gain a wound and roll on the wounds table. Then reset the character's health to its maximum and subtract any carryover damage. Once your character suffers their maximum wounds, make a death save. 28.3 Armor. Characters ignore all damage less than their armor points. However, if they ever take damage greater than equal to their P in 1 hit, their armor is destroyed, and they suffer any remaining damage. Weapons with anti-armor ignore and destroy armor whenever they hit. Some armor may have damage reduction, which always reduces incoming damage by the amount stated, even if the armor is destroyed, or if the weapon has anti-armor. Damage reduction occurs first, before any armor. 28.4 Cover. The environment can provide protection. It can be destroyed just like armor. Whenever it is dealt damage greater or equal to its AP, cover typically only protects you against ranged attacks, but in some situations may help block a hand-to-hand attack. If you shoot while in cover, you are considered out of cover until your next turn. And the 3 types of cover. Significant cover with furniture, doors, body shields, etc. for AP of 5. Light cover, trees, bulkhead walls, metal furniture, AP of 10. Heavy cover, airlock doors, cement beams, ships, etc. Damage reduction 5, AP 20. 29.1 What are wounds? When gaining a wound, roll 1d10 on the wounds table according to the type of damage. Blunt force, bleeding, gunshot, fire and explosives, and gore and massive. Firearms, like shotguns, are most effective at this range or adjacent. Long range. You can shoot it. Things in this band are far enough away that they take an entire round or longer to get to. Rifles are effective at this range, but handguns and shotguns less so. You'd have to yell at someone to get their attention, and you probably wouldn't be able to smell anyone at long range, no matter how bad they stink. Extreme range. You can hear them scream. 31.3, or only the longest range weapons like smart rifles can hit something accurately in this band. It takes more than one turn to get to something here, and even if you hear a scream, you might not know which direction it's coming from. Yeah, that looks like it will be it for today, which is sort of a frustrating point. So it really looks like we've only got 8 pages or so that we'll actually read through. So we'll pick back up with survival, and it looks like we'll be in the situation I thought we'd be in today. I did go ahead and go to the next book from Mothership that we'll be reading through, the Warden's Operation Manual, so we will finish the survival guide and start that. And that'll most likely be Thursday. I may or may not stream tomorrow. And Wednesday will be another MetaZoo opening, and we'll be continuing the